Welcome back to the channel, everyone. All my new viewers, thank you for taking the time to tune in. Throughout the duration of the offseason, I put in a lot of work to make sure that we can cover this NFL season thoroughly and consistently. So we're going to make sure that we do just that. But let's talk about last night. We had a football game. Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Xavier Worthy, everybody on the football field that we wanted to see. And we got to talk all about it. We got a game recap. The Kansas City Chiefs defeat the Baltimore Ravens 27-20 in nail-biting fashion. This is exactly what we wanted to see. This is what we waited months for since the NFL Super Bowl. You couldn't have wrote this game better than what we saw last night. Battle of the MVPs. Two great defenses, two great head coaches. Everything you talk about when you talk about football, we always say nail biter. It's a clutch game. It's a dog fight. This was the epitome of all of those things wrapped up into one game. I know the NFL is happy, and as a fan of football, I'm happy. Patrick Mahomes on the night, 20 of 28, 291 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Xavier Worthy, what about the rookie, the fastest man in the game? He's still going to have to do a little more work to get that title. We still got Tyreek in the game, but Xavier Worthy, rookie debut, showed me some really good flashes. 3 receptions, 47 yards, 1 receiving touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown. They caught him out of the backfield, had a little end around. We're going to get to that. Rashee Rice. Big time game. I'm going to talk about how the Kansas City Chiefs utilized Rashee Rice. I thought they had a great scheme to get him open, get him on the move, let him get some yards after the catch. 9 receptions, 103 yards. Going to the flip side, Lamar Jackson. We're going to talk about Lamar, especially in that last drive of the game, but 26 of 41, 273 yards, had 1 touchdown in the air. Very solid game from Lamar Jackson. Both quarterbacks, I thought, played very good games. But we got to talk about Lamar Jackson as a rusher, because he dropped some weight in the offseason. He came back. He's back now. This is the MVP Lamar, where we see that true dual threat. We're talking about true dynamism when Lamar Jackson gets the football in his hands and he starts to take off. 16 carries, 122 yards. And also, with the new NFL Pro app, you got some good things you can look at, some very intricate stats. Lamar Jackson scrambled at his 3rd highest rate, 19.5% in a single game since 2021. 3rd highest scramble rate since 2021. 16 carries, 122 yards. Let me say that again. Lamar Jackson was deadly on the ground, but he also had one of his younger tight ends come along with him. 9 receptions and 111 yards and a touchdown from Isaiah Likely. Big time game. We're seeing their chemistry. We're seeing their connection build. So I want to take us through the game, talk about what we saw, some of those little details that you may have missed. Now, starting out, I think the referees called the game extremely tight. You saw offensive pass interferences. You saw illegal formations. Really those nip and tuck, those tight calls where you say, okay, maybe that's a holding. Maybe we'll let them get away with it. They weren't getting away with anything. And I think it's just setting the standard, setting the tone for this NFL season. It is a nationally televised primetime game. So they want to say, okay, this is how we're calling some of these things this year. There were a lot of illegal formations on the Baltimore side. Sometimes you had Ronnie Stanley. Sometimes he set a little too far back. You had sometimes your receiver not on the line of scrimmage. Just kind of those nicky things that you say, okay, this is something we have to tighten up. This is something we have to work on. But I think really overall, the Ravens put together a great first drive. Zay Flowers, big time catch from Lamar Jackson. So you're looking at what they did. I think we wanted to see how this offense would look. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, Todd Monken. What is that trio going to look like? And really with this offensive line, now there's one thing we're going to talk about a little bit later in terms of their run game. It wasn't a great rushing attack as far as Derrick Henry, Justice Hill. But I think Lamar Jackson, he had some good rushes. But really, you saw this team get on the perimeter. That was what they were trying to do, because when they tried to go inside, you got the Kansas City Chiefs, a team who's not afraid to play base. They got those linebackers. They got Bolton. They got Chanel. They can run 4-3, and they're very good at it. So then you had the Baltimore Ravens. They go down. They get a touchdown. Derrick Henry runs it in. Everything's starting to feel good. Then the Chiefs, they come right back. And this is where you see Xavier Worthy get on the move a little bit. Now, starting out this drive, I think what I'm going to talk about in terms of what we saw from the Kansas City Chiefs team is when they were able to drive the football. I think one thing that Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, that they're so good at, winning the most important battle at the most important moment. Now, when you think about, okay, you add Xavier Worthy into the mix. Hollywood Brown, he didn't play in this game, but he's another guy who's going to be in the mix for Kansas City. Now, we can't really run as much man coverage. There's going to be a lot of shell coverage too high. And then this is saying we're probably going to face a little more zone coverage, because when we play man coverage, we're saying, okay, we have corners who can keep up, who can bump and run with your wide receivers. Now you add some of those receivers that the Kansas City Chiefs have, like a Worthy, Rashee Rice getting a little bit better. That becomes a lot harder. And I think why Rashee Rice has such a big time game, I want to talk about one specific formation for the Kansas City Chiefs: bunch formation. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can cover a bunch formation. But what we saw from the Baltimore Ravens was they're pressing the point. So either we can match this or we could just run man and we have to sort through it. The Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid, he does such a great job of understanding how to draw up a route concept. So if you're pressing the point, now at the last second we're gonna motion a guy out. At the last second we're gonna motion a guy in. It's just those little subtle movements out of a bunch formation that can change everything, especially if we have match principles. If I'm the safety, if I'm the nickel, sometimes we got first man in and then we have the guy who's going out, and now we pass that to the safety. But when we have those subtle movements, those subtle movements at the snap of the ball, now we're looking at, okay, what are we doing? What is the matchup? How are we looking? And those things can really change a lot of things for a defense. We saw that for the Baltimore Ravens. Miscommunications all throughout the night in the back end. And that's talking about Andy Reid. And then, like I said, Xavier Worthy had his big end around touchdown. So they got him the football. They did a lot of great things. But then we talk about Baltimore. Like I said, really as the game started to go on a little bit, you saw them struggle to run the football. And I think what we've talked about and what we looked at going into this season was that offensive line for the Baltimore Ravens. Now, when Roger Rosengarten came into the football game, now, you know, he's one of those day two picks for this football team. Good player, and I think he has a bright future ahead of him. But just looking at that and saying, okay, now I find myself in a one-on-one versus Chris Jones. Chris Jones, welcome to the NFL, Roger Rosengarten. Like I said, think he has a bright future, but Chris Jones just winning that matchup. And that's when you saw Lamar Jackson fumble the football, and the Kansas City Chiefs, now they get a free break. At 7-7, we get the football in Baltimore's territory because Lamar Jackson gets the fumble. Now we got it. And then, like I said, though, you talk about winning those important battles at the most important moments. Baltimore's defense held strong. Because when we saw the Kansas City Chiefs get into the red zone, we're going to talk about two specific drives. But after Lamar Jackson fumbled the football, they look at Kansas City, they end up settling for 3. Really, really tough break. Now I want to talk about this. The next drive, Baltimore gets really aggressive. Like I said, you're down 10-7. It's still early in the football game. You find yourself in a 4th and 3 situation. Trying to get the football to Zay Flowers, and it doesn't go right. Now I want to talk about that specific play, because why didn't it go right in a situation like this? And I think it was a gutsy call. Really, when you look at John Harbaugh, Tom Monken, and that offense, in a situation where it's 4th and 3, you're right there at the 50. It's early in the football game. And I think when you're going against Patrick Mahomes, that's one of the things that you have in the back of your mind. We got to get points on the foot. We got to get points on the board. But in this situation, they didn't. And I think when you look at the specific play, they had Zay Flowers. He's kind of lined up as a wing. He's kind of hiding behind the offensive line. He tries to sneak out. Lamar Jackson tries to swing it out to him, and that was their first down play call on the 4th and 3 situation. The reason that play didn't work is because now we're looking at our corner and Steve Spagnuolo, top defensive coordinator in the game. There was a play earlier, and it was on 3rd and 6. Justin Reid had a big time tackle on Justice Hill. And you saw that play where now it's man coverage, but we got Justin Reid coming over the top. He's taking away the back. In this situation, they probably thought, okay, now we're going to have Justin Reid take away this Zay Flowers route. In the corner, he's going to be ran off by the wide receiver lined outside the line of scrimmage. That didn't happen. Now we have the corner. He doesn't sink. He plays the flat. Justin Reid, he takes the vertical threat. Now we're stopping that at the line of scrimmage. It's no first down. And I think that put them into a tough situation. Then we get back to the Kansas City Chiefs. They get the football. They go down. They get another field goal. Like I said, at this point, we're looking at a back and forth situation where Baltimore, they're not making the most important plays at the most important moments. But even when Kansas City is getting the ball in advantageous situations, they're still up 13-7. So following that drive, Baltimore got the football back. And I want to talk about what they did on that drive, because you had some flags. You had an illegal formation, a delay of game. They were really off rhythm in that drive after the Kansas City Chiefs went up 13-7. But I want to talk about Justin Tucker, because up to that point, we know what Justin Tucker is. He's a Hall of Fame kicker. It's good, it's good, it's good. And then in this situation, out from 53 yards. On a fourth down, he misses a rare kick. So now you're looking at this. The Kansas City Chiefs really have all of the momentum. They're up 13-7. They just got a field goal. You got the ball back. You got in the field goal range, but you missed the field goal. Then the very next play, Patrick Mahomes comes out, throws an interception to Roquan Smith. Then the Baltimore Ravens, now they get back into that field goal range. Then they make the game 13-10. They go into the half. They're only down 3 points. So everything that has happened in this first half, with the Kansas City Chiefs making plays, with the turnover by Lamar Jackson, with the struggles in the run game, some of the struggles in pass protection, the Baltimore Ravens were down 3 heading into halftime. Now, we come back out. Kansas City Chiefs, they come out hot in the second half. They got a big-time scoring drive. Patrick Mahomes is hitting on all cylinders. You got Rashee Rice making plays. You got Justin Watson. When we talk about Justin Watson, he's just that one guy who, in every situation, when it's a big-time game, he's going to make that one catch that you remember. Whether it's a playoff game, whether it's a Week 16 game to try to clinch a 1 seed, he's going to make that clutch catch that everybody remembers, and you say, whoa, that's Justin Watson. I thought that was somebody else. It was Justin Watson. Had a big time completion on this drive. The Kansas City Chiefs, they go up 20-10. Isaiah Pacheco gets a big time touchdown in the end zone. Now, I think when you look at that drive as well, Baltimore, penalties. Because the Kansas City Chiefs, they got behind the sticks a little bit. Then you had the Baltimore, they had the roughing the passer call, and then that put them behind the sticks. So now we're looking at this. We got KC in the advantageous situation. They're already in rhythm. They go up by 10 points. And then after that, the Ravens, they fail to answer the score by Kansas City. They end up punting the football. So I think in this situation, when you look at it, now the Kansas City Chiefs, they still have the momentum. Things are looking kind of weary if you're the Baltimore Ravens up to this point. But then Samaje Perine, you got a big time drive by the Kansas City Chiefs. They're trying to go up 3 scores. Then he drops the football on 3rd and 3, a failed connection with him and Patrick Mahomes. So now the Ravens get some momentum. They get the football, they go back on their offense, and they get a big time scoring drive. Lamar opens it up, has a truly special play, gets outside the pocket, finds Isaiah Likely down the football field. Then he runs, turns it into a special run after the catch. And these are the types of things where after this situation, it was 20-10. You saw Lamar Jackson get into that MVP mode. Even at a point where I was thinking, okay, maybe this game could get out of hand. If Patrick Mahomes goes down, they get some more points. This is really looking like a tough lead to come back from and find yourself in a football game late if you're the Baltimore Ravens. But Lamar Jackson, he just does what he does. He locked into that mode. Now you make it a 20-17 football game. You're still down 3, but you have a very good chance of tying it up or taking the lead as you head into the fourth quarter. Then the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, this is what we're going to talk about with the Baltimore Ravens because, like I said, miscommunications in the back end. We find another miscommunication on this drive. And understanding, I think when I talk about the play where Xavier Worthy ran free, it's a 27-17 football game. Kansas City Chiefs have the lead. It's getting late into the football game. And when you had all of the momentum, you blow a coverage. Now, I think, again, one of those subtle things when you look at it and say, why is this actually happening like this? And I think I point to the scheme for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think when we talk about coaching staffs, everything that the Baltimore Ravens try to do, whether it be offensively or defensively, I think the Kansas City Chiefs, whether it be Andy Reid, Matt Nagy, or Steve Spagnuolo, had the answer for the Baltimore Ravens. Now I'm automatically thinking he's expecting some sort of cover 2 look, or he's expecting a safety to roll over the top. But like I said, when he passes it, there's nobody there. So now you have Xavier Worthy running wide open. Patrick Mahomes is not going to miss that throw. The problem with it is we're looking at Marlon Humphrey. If he truly does have a flat responsibility on this play, you have the immediate threat to the flat. So now what we're focused on is, okay, I have to sink, but I also got a guy who's coming into the flat. He's my immediate threat as well. So I got to sink, pass it off. Then I come up and possibly make a tackle on Isaiah Pacheco if he gets the check down, or I can look for work and move back inside. Those are the types of things that happen in a play like that, and it just exacerbates a problem with Xavier Worthy already being wide open. So like I said, that was uncharacteristic by the Ravens. Just seeing that in one of the biggest moments. Not being prepared, not communicating on the back end, not being defensively sound. But even with everything going on, the Ravens still kept themselves in a football game. They get the ball back, they go down, they get a field goal, they make it 27-20, and then they hold the Kansas City Chiefs. So now you're looking at a 7-point deficit. You got a minute and 50 seconds left. You can go down and score. You can try to get the 2-point conversion, or you can just tie it up and take it into overtime. I thought on this drive, Lamar Jackson was exceptional. You can't miss the throw to Zay Flowers. Now, everybody's probably going to talk about that one throw that you had in the back of the end zone to Isaiah Likely. Big time throw. His foot hit the line. It's very unfortunate. It's a game of inches. But like I said, though, when I talk about the Kansas City Chiefs winning this football game, it's winning that important battle and understanding, okay, put yourselves in a position to where even if something goes wrong, we've played so good up to this point. We're not banking on that one play. We're not banking on luck. We've put ourselves in a position to win. But just in those situations, it comes down to it. When you have two very good football teams, I think these are two teams that we're going to see possibly again in the playoffs. Two teams who have chances to, but the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win their division. But I think when you look at the Baltimore Ravens, they have a very, very good chance, even in a very competitive AFC North. So now it's saying, we know we're good. We know the Kansas City Chiefs are good. We got to be on our A game. We can't make these mistakes. When you play bad football teams, they'll beat themselves. But when you play good football teams, it's all about who's the most detailed, who's the most precise, who makes the right plays, and who's sound and who can execute. I think what we saw in this football game was just, it was amazing. But like I said, at the end of the day, some of those things are going to come back to bite you. You talk about the penalties. You talk about some of the things on the offensive line. You talk about some of those passes not being able to establish the run game. It all comes back. And then defensively, communication. All night, just not being sound, not being the typical Baltimore Ravens defense that we're used to. And like I said, when you talk about the Kansas City Chiefs, I think defensively, it was one of those situations where we're saying, okay, Lamar Jackson, he's being Superman right now. We're sitting in man coverage. Sometimes we're dropping a robber, but either way, he's understanding that it's man coverage. And he knows, okay, I don't like this route concept. I don't think we're going to win here. I'm putting my head down and running. That's how you get 122 yards on the ground as a quarterback. And then they got him into the design run game. I think Steve Spagnuolo kind of lived with that at the end of the day. As long as you don't give up the big play, as long as you don't let them get 7, put points on the board, I think he lived with Lamar Jackson running the football to the extent in which he did. And then in the passing game, it was just some plays that only Lamar could make that we saw in the passing game. But overall, I really like what I saw from Kansas City. I like what I saw from Baltimore too. I think there were some plays that the Baltimore Ravens could have made in this game to not even be in that position. So like I said, you don't blow that coverage. You don't have some of those penalties. You make that throw to Zay Flowers. You don't find yourself in that position to be counting on something as small as an inch to lose this football game. Kansas City, they look very good, and I'm excited to see what they look like when Hollywood Brown comes back into the mix. I think the running game was solid, but they still have to get a little bit more. Isaiah Pacheco, I liked how they used him out of the backfield. He caught some passes in this football game, 2 catches for 33 yards, so I think he was pretty efficient there. And Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. You talk about that connection with Travis Kelce. There's times where they're in scramble drill, and Travis Kelce is just running around. Like it's times, and there was a play when they got in the scramble drill. Travis Kelce ran a route, and then he just started freestyling, understanding, okay, I'm gonna shake this guy somehow. My first route, my second route didn't even work. Let me just buy time and try to get open in the slightest, and I know Patrick Mahomes is gonna find me. This is a team to be reckoned with, and I think they look very, very good, man. It's just, we talk about the AFC, we got some heavy hitters, and everyone's playing Sunday, so we're going to be back with a lot of game recaps. We're going to dive into the film in this one. I want to talk about this offense from an all-22 perspective. What did you think about this game? How excited are you that football's back? What do you think about the Kansas City Chiefs? What do you think about the Baltimore Ravens? Will the Baltimore Ravens offensive line be a problem throughout the duration of this season? I think what we saw is Lamar Jackson was great on the ground, but now they're going to have to kind of work and scheme themselves into positions where you're not always going to be ahead of the sticks. If the Baltimore Ravens had an option, it's Derrick Henry, it's Lamar Jackson. We're going to be in second and short. We're going to be in third and short, but it's not always going to pan out that way. So I think when you get into those situations now, we have to be thinking, okay, how, with the offensive line that we have some young guys in there. We have some guys who still have to prove themselves, even though they've been in the NFL for a while. How can we get into the passing game and allow Zay Flowers to get down the football field? How can we still get the football to Likely, Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman? Those are the type of things that Todd Monken will be thinking heading out of this game, but you still have a lot of good film to work with. Really want to know what you think down below. I like this game. I'm ready to see the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Green Bay Packers. We're gonna come back with that game recap. The next thing you're probably gonna see is that game recap or some all 22 film from this game. Thank you for watching. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And now, yeah.